This is your tarot reading for November. Yeah, November. Not just your energies, but when I was looking at all the energies coming out, there were very familiar themes, like there are global energies out there. And I've just done Cancers, of course, because I do it alphabetically, and theirs was highly telling. One of the themes that keeps coming out, the middle card on the bottom there, is judgment. Actually, justice comes out more often than judgment. But my interpretation of that justice is that there is a judgment element to it. Justice, you see, could simply be in a material world, formal justice, court, etc. Whereas judgment is much more karmic. But there always seems to be a karmic element. Why is that? Well, certainly I think we're all aware now that a cycle has ended and a new one has begun. But what was interesting about Cancers was that an even bigger cycle is about to end and a new one to begin. So this justice comes about because those who've cheated, manipulated, been greedy in the last cycle are now getting their comeuppance. I'm also drawn, however, to two cards on the top. The first one is on the left, and that is the Five of Cups. That's you're taking a pessimistic view of things. We don't know why, but I think this pessimism is quite profound. Indeed, look below it, and we have the Eight of Swords. And that's self-imposed restrictions. You're not taking advantage of some opportunities for some reason. You're restricting yourself. And if we look to the final card on the top there, that's you being disillusioned and walking away. So something has clearly happened that has really affected you. The overall energy is that of the Ace of Wands. That suggests new information about what you should do comes to you, and that runs throughout it. I suspect you're resisting this new information. I suspect you're trying to live your life as it used to be, and this is urging you to change. I might be totally wrong. And the middle card in the top, the Page of Pentacles, suggests you going out and looking for money, and that would change everything. Is that a retrograde card? I don't know. I don't know how to interpret that at this moment in time, because this doesn't look like a happy set of cards. It looks like somebody who's not really grasping what they're meant to be doing. But in the global scheme of things, given the major changes, nor is it a set of energies that gives me undue concern. But do stay with me, because I think we need to understand these much better. Now, I said, although there is some sort of potentially depressing energies within this spread, I wasn't overall concerned. And a part of that reason is that the card that dominates it, or the energy that dominates it, is the Ace of Wands. Now, this should be about new opportunities coming to you, new ways of doing things, new ways of seeing things. And I think the potentially negative parts of these energies are you not accepting what is becoming apparent to you. A degree of reluctance, a degree of resistance. Now, we're all resistant to change, especially me. Let's be absolutely clear. The health crisis, I could see through it. And I'm not wanting to do, well, I told you so. Nor do I want to suggest that there was a conspiracy. Well, I think there was a conspiracy, but there were many conspiracies. There wasn't a grand conspiracy. There were many people getting together and colluding to take advantage of it. So I'm not proposing some grand conspiracy here. But I could see through all that was going on and knew that we were being blatantly lied to. And so, as a result, I mean, you know, a part of, particularly here in Indonesia, a part of the way that they tried to impose control on us was via an app on our phone that we had to scan to get into anywhere. And because I wasn't fully, didn't have all of the juice in me, and that's another story, but, you know, I couldn't access it. Because I didn't have it, I was effectively banned from public transport, from shopping malls, from government offices, from most public places for well over a year, nearly 2 years. And my reaction has been that I no longer want to go to shopping malls. I no longer want to go to these places. You know, if they didn't want me for 2 years or so, then damn 'em, I'm not coming back because things have changed. I also don't want to keep using my phone for everything, in fact. You know, I mean, it's impossible now, isn't it, to go on holiday without your phone, but my idea of a great holiday is one in which you don't need your phone with you. And I am most resistant to scanning things. Now, I'm cutting my own throat, I know. But I think that's what's going on with you a little. I think you're resistant to change because, you know, you have bitter experience of some of this change. You don't trust some of the change. Now, in the past, you were brave, you were bold, but you rushed into things. I wonder if that's rushing into conclusions. You know, I've just talked to you about my view of the health crisis. And it's clear what I think, you know, even though this platform won't allow me to truly express what I think. And believe me, as I say, I don't think there's an evil genius there. But what I think I've been prone to is a little too much of that sort of evil genius type thinking. Yes, there was much collusion. Yes, there was many people making money, taking the opportunity, lying, cheating, manipulating. It went on to a massive extent, and there were many people doing it. But whether or not they were coordinated, that doesn't mean to say some weren't colluding. Whether or not they weren't coordinated, I don't know. And what the energies of the cards seem to be telling me this month is that, yeah, all of that went on, but they know that they've been found out. They know that they've gone too far. Some of them are quaking in their boots, and we'll come to that in a second. But you should not extrapolate the future from what has happened in the past, because there's been a groundswell of opinion against what happened. There are more and more of us believing that simply by the power of our minds we can create a better world. And we're resisting this fear porn, we're resisting this manipulation. So I think you, like me, have rushed into some conclusions which aren't necessarily helping you. And now, I don't know if it was on your reading, but on many zodiac signs readings last month, I got quite animated. I wasn't particularly well at the time. You could hear my voice wasn't quite right. But, you know, I got quite animated about, yes, the health crisis, about what's gone on. And I was saying that those responsible will be punished. They'll be punished by God, they'll be punished by Allah, they'll be punished by the universe, whatever way you want to say it. And here this card is telling us this. This is judgment. This is the day of judgment. So you don't have to worry about those who've cheated you, those who've lied, those who made money during the crisis, those politicians that told us we had to stay at home while they partied, those companies that told us they had a solution when, if anything, it appears to be closer to a cause than a solution. Certainly it was no solution. Telling us that shutting down economies, destroying livelihoods, actually destroying lives as a result of it, was some sort of a solution to a bit of a sniffle. Well, they are going to get their comeuppance. They are. You don't have to worry about it. That's going to happen. So you must move on with your life, as I must, and stop reflecting on what has happened. Because I know, and I think you know also, that if we can be positive, about ourselves, then we can create a better world for everyone. So we need to snap out of this sort of negative thinking, as it were. Now, I wouldn't be talking as I do if indeed I didn't think some of these things applied to me, and I wasn't concerned that your somewhat negative attitudes are affecting you. And no more could we see that than in this, the Eight of Swords. There are actually things you're not doing now. You're missing opportunities because you're self-restricting. And as I say, I no longer go in shopping malls. I've not been in a shopping mall in over 5 years, you know. I know. And it's not like I buy things online. I've even stopped buying online. I've stopped consuming almost altogether. We do go on holiday, but I find it so difficult to book online now because everything's changed and so expensive, you know. I take a bus, or you know, I do the most stupid things now, cutting my nose off to spite my face, because I just couldn't be bothered getting on with how the technology has changed. And you know, I was a pioneer of the internet. I used to own internet companies. I even, you know, was responsible for introducing artificial intelligence to sections of the British government, you know. And I just find it's not that I couldn't learn the new ways that they're doing things. It's that they look senseless and stupid to me. For example, you know, I wanted to book a flight that it must be 8 years ago, but I used to book this flight probably 4 or 5 times a year. This very flight that I wanted now. And of course, the company that I used to fly with, they've gone out of business in Indonesia. So there aren't many ways of doing it now. But the main way of doing it would not accept a debit card from Indonesia's major bank. And like, I just couldn't understand it. So I went to the bank to ask them, and they said, no, you can't do it. You know, so it's just like, what the hell has happened to this world? And yeah, well, by the time I sorted out how I could do it, the prices had gone up by 4 times. So I used the bus. And I think you're being a bit like me. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face, you know. You need to wake up to some of the benefits, at least. By all means, be sceptical, but you do need to change a little. is the reason for all this? Well, like me, you're pessimistic. Like me, you're probably seeing a conspiracy, collusion, a dark motive in everything. And the truth is, or this is what the cards seem to be telling me. Yeah, there is some darkness, there is some manipulation still out there. But don't worry, you know, God's punishing those responsible. And if you see everything as a trick, then you can't enjoy life. You can't seize the benefits. You're being much too pessimistic, and you're not allowing yourself to enjoy the bounty that God has given to us. You need to relax. You need to put your faith in God, Allah, the universe, a little bit more, and just relax. Yeah. And the antidote to this is going out and looking for money, going out and making money. Do I actually mean that? I'm not sure, but I think the energy that it's telling us is, if you can throw yourself into doing something that will help you to generate wealth, then you will snap out of this pessimism. That doesn't mean joining the manipulators, joining the greedy. No, I think it's just an activity for you to do, and if you do this activity, then you will be much more, well, you'll be consumed in that activity rather than your depression. And probably you will get blessings, it'll start to work out, you know. You could see my YouTube channel as that, but I have to say to you that the workings, well, I let's not call it the workings of the algorithm, because there is no doubt that YouTube hide behind the algorithm, hide their commercial decisions behind the algorithm. So a few months ago, completely unbeknown to me, they didn't tell me they'd done it, but they made a whole pile of my vlogs. It's not demonetized, it's restricted. But not only does it mean that you're not earning any money off them, but it also means that you're not getting anything like the hits. So my views went down by about 25%, and my income went down even more, you know. Not that I get any income at the moment, but you know what I mean, my potential income went down. And, you know, that is an entirely commercially driven decision. That's not the algorithm doing it by itself. That's an entirely commercially driven decision. But when I meditate and when I pray, I'm told, keep going. It's just a game. They're playing a game with you. You play a game with them. And so, you know, when I see that they've not demonetized, but restricted my videos, I appeal. Because, you know, they're doing it using artificial intelligence. So it's not taking them any effort whatsoever. So I appeal, and a person then has to check it. And in 95% of the time, it gets back to being monetized. You know, so I've just got to see it as a game that I'm constantly playing. You need to throw yourself into something like that as well. I have to say, you know, when I get restricted income, and, you know, my views go down so dramatically, I do at times think, to hell with it, I'm going to shut down my YouTube channel. Particularly these longer tarot readings. Because when I first started doing these tarot readings, some of them I used to get 1,000 views. I think the most I've ever got for a tarot reading is 4,000 views. But the algorithm changed years ago. Nowadays, I'm lucky to get 40 views, you know. And of course, each tarot reading takes around, around half a day. It takes me around half a day. So half a day's work for 40 views. 40 views, the monetization on it's nothing, it wouldn't even be a US cent. So I'm working for half a day for potentially $1 cent. And you think, oh, I'm going to walk away from it. But, I meditate and I'm told, just keep going. Just keep going. You can listen to people on YouTube saying, oh, well, if you just try it this way, if you just, but you're listening to people who've been successful, and what makes one person successful doesn't make another successful. If you look at all the people who are doing tarot readings and all of those who've thrown in the towel, that is a much more representative view of what works and what doesn't work, So yeah, I do feel like throwing it in, and unfortunately I think you do throw the towel in. And all I want to say to you is that certainly my meditation has just said, keep on going. Keep on going. I know you're a little depressed. I know you're a little fed up. Things aren't happening as quickly as you thought they might be. Remember that at the beginning. Yeah, of course. Keep going. Let's get some clarification, though, because maybe I've put too much of myself into this. And I want clarification on this Five of Cups. Why are you seeing glass half empty? The first card we get is the Ace of Swords. Some new information came to you. Well, I thought it was about information. The next one is the Death card, a sudden and abrupt ending. So is this a sudden and abrupt ending to something that you were doing? Going back to my YouTube thing, that getting my restricted monetization on a whole pile of my videos without telling me. Frankly, we know large companies do not play fair, are not ethical at all. But, when I saw such unethical behaviour to somebody who should be a partner, I'm a creator on YouTube, it was like a death to me. It was. It's like, well, I can't trust them at all. But you're also being told that you can't do things all by yourself. You don't have the skills to do everything. How interesting. Is that what it's saying to me about YouTube? Let's look at each of these individually. The first card of clarification is this Ace of Swords. This is some new information comes to you. So why are you depressed? Well, you get some new information. And, is it about the health crisis? Is it about war? Is it about central bank digital currencies? There's a whole pile of things it could be, isn't there? Oh, is it about Epstein? There's a whole pile of things that could become, mind worms for us, that, oh my God, they've done this, they've done that. I can't believe it. I can't believe that people are so greedy, so nasty, so cruel. And let me tell you that at best we're talking about 20% of the population. So we should not be organising our society around this 20%, but that's exactly what we've done. And it is depressing when you find it out, but you mustn't get too depressed. You have to see it as a game, like I do with YouTube. Yes, they're acting unethically, but I just have to play the game along with them. Because to do anything else just makes us depressed, and that itself will bring its own bad luck to us, and we will miss the opportunities that are out there. Now, this new information has caused a death of something. Is it a death of beliefs? Is it a death of something you've done? It's an ending. It's a bitter ending. You know, I told you about what happened with YouTube restricting the monetization on a whole pile of my vlogs without even telling me. And about a month later, I was thinking, why have my views gone down so dramatically, and why has my potential income gone down so dramatically? And then I eventually found out what they'd done, and to me it was a death. It was a death of a relationship. You know, I'm a creator with YouTube, and it's hard enough doing it. Particularly, I've not had any money so far off them. But, I put in 70 hours a week, and to think that YouTube themselves are the fifth column, it was a death. So I think it's something like this, it's a death of an idea that's making you pessimistic, or a death of a way of doing things that's making you pessimistic. Now we have the card of teamwork, and it's that is leading to this depression, and I think it's best illustrated by something that happened to me yesterday. I've had because of here in the mountains in Java is a limestone karst, and virtually everybody's water is groundwater extraction in Indonesia. So we get our water, we pump our water up through wells in this limestone karst. And of course it's very hard, and so everything clogs up. And there's our wash basin tap has been clogged up for over a year, unusable. And I've been looking at it and trying to do something and trying to understand it for a year. And eventually I realised that you've just got to buy a new tap. There's no other way. But it's also a very, very complicated fixing. There's a particular tool that you really need to be able to fix it. So without it, you can't really do it, Most plumbers will understand what I'm talking about. But, there aren't any plumbers up here on the mountain. So anyway, I bought a new tap, but, it hasn't arrived yet. But there was a few other little plumbing jobs I needed to do. And so I started at them, and I thought, no, I'm going to create damage here. This is too difficult. So I packed in that day, knowing that it would make me depressed if I continued. But my wife didn't believe me, so she got in our local handyman. Anyway, he threw himself into it and took this tap apart, but still couldn't fix it, but can't put it back together. So we were without water for the entire day, and we've achieved nothing, and I don't know if we'll be in a worse position than we started. But that's the sort of teamwork that we're talking about that's making you depressed. The realisation that there are some things that you can't do by yourself. And maybe YouTube is one of those for me. So I think we can summarise for you now, Capricorn. Now, Capricorn, I wouldn't want to suggest that you're a curmudgeonly old bugger like me. But you are cutting your nose off to spite your face. You know that you need to change. You know that you need to act in certain ways, and you're resisting it. I think to a certain degree, some information has come to you. You've realised, as we all have, that we've been lied to, we've been manipulated, we've been cheated. Do you believe in a grand conspiracy, an evil genius? Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I personally don't, but that doesn't matter. But I think the whole thing has made you somewhat depressed. Now, the universe is saying, look, those who've done wrong are going to get their comeuppance. And they are. Believe me, they are. So you don't need to worry about that. So why on earth are you getting depressed and restricting your actions? when there's nothing you can do about it anyway, it's gone. And you're extrapolating the future from the past, which is completely the wrong thing to do. So there's things you're not doing, and you're missing opportunities because of that. And you're doing that because you've got this information. Something in you has died. Maybe an ideal, maybe a view of seeing the world has died. And you're sort of realising that you can't do everything you need to by yourself, even though that's what you want to do because of all of these problems. And, you know, you're not only getting depressed, but you're just walking away, and you're doing what I've done. You know, I was not allowed into shopping centres, government offices, on public transport, you know, a whole host of things for over 2 years. And as a result, I no longer want to go to shopping. I never go shopping. Don't even shop online. I just, you know, if we really need something, the wife buys it, you know. But there's a whole pile of things I no longer do. And I'm cutting my nose to spite my face, and so are you. So, you know, you can't extrapolate from the past into the future. Just because bad things have happened in the past doesn't mean to say they'll happen in the future. Now, the antidote to this is to throw yourself into doing something. Maybe it's money-making activities or generating wealth, but I think it's just doing something different, you know, doing something different and getting on with it. Because at least that's positive. At least that's getting you out of these restrictions, this depression, you know. You just need to do something, Capricorn. And I can't help but think that maybe a part of all this fear porn and all that's gone on is to turn people like you and I into these sort of basket cases that no longer are able to do anything. No. I actually took the bus for 12 hours from city to city the other day because I just wasn't able to book a flight. You know what, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy how I've restricted my life, and, you know, it has to be deliberate. It has to be deliberate. Don't ask me why, but it has to be deliberate.